What is going on, everybody? This is 86 here, back with some more Path of Exile 2, and patch 0.10e is now live. This is the patch that they were talking about with the waypoint improvements. There's some in-game and monster balance improvements, trial of the second improvements, skill balance. Ooh, man, there's a lot in here. Holy shit, there's a lot in here. I'm probably not going to go through all this, just the key points, the most important stuff. But we'll go over it real quick. It is now live. Came out last night, 12/17, December 17th. Last night, I think around 8 or so. So it's been live for a little while, but let's check it out. General improvements and changes. Added the capacity to fast travel between checkpoints within an area. You can now select checkpoints, which will bring up your map overlay, allowing you to select other checkpoints you have discovered in the area to travel to them immediately. Many more checkpoints have been added to areas generally at all entrances and exits to areas, meaning if you find those first, you are able to instantly travel to them if you choose to go back and explore an area. That's good. Should just make these large ass areas a little less tedious. Anything just take the monotony out of the gameplay is good. I'm happy for that because a lot of these zones are huge, and sometimes you miss one little thing in a corner, you got to run all the way back. Nobody wants to do that shit, so this is good. It's a buff. Passive point respecking has been made cheaper, especially at higher levels. It had a relatively aggressive curve, getting more expensive with character level. We have flattened that curve so it doesn't exponentially grow as much. For example, this should generally result in approximately 40 to 50% less gold cost for respecking between the start and the middle of in-game progression. That's a buff. Should just be cheaper to respec. You could have a lot easier. It's good. Really good. Add a shortcut to open a skill's advanced information display by right-clicking the skill on your skill bar. That's cool. Just easier access to information. It's always nice. You can now compare equip flasks when using a gamepad. That's a buff for me because I play with the gamepad. Added chance stars to the currency exchange. That's just good. More stuff in the currency exchange. Easier to trade currency. That's just nice. Add a button to travel to your guild hideout when interacting with the waypoint. That's just nice. More ease of access. In-game and monster balance. Maps no longer have additional elemental resistance penalties inherently applied at Tier 6 and Tier 11 or higher maps. It is now consistent across all the in-game at the same value as it was previously at Tier 1. So there was just additional resistance penalties when you got up into higher tiers. Those have just been removed and it's just consistent. Resistance penalty should just make it easier to gear. So that's good. Critical strikes from monsters now deal 40% less damage, bonus damage. That's pretty huge. You should just be getting one shot a lot less. That's good, good. It's a buff. Chaos damage now scales less aggressively over the in-game. Like I said, that's just good. Chaos damage was a problem, a big problem from what I've seen a lot of streamers and people in the in-game say. So this should just make it a little bit easier. Plus, it's really hard to get chaos res, so that's just all around a good change. The ground laser and ground lightning ability used by the Rune Knight in expedition encounters now deals substantially less damage. That's good. Waystone modifier that adds burning ground to your maps no longer increases in coverage or area with higher tier waystones. Burning ground's a pain in the ass, so that's just good. The Siphon's flash charge modifier, this modifier was a pain. Apparently it was draining way too many flash charges. It was unintentional. That was changed, so that's good. These are all just more improvement. The trial lightning monitor lasts for 4 seconds from 8 seconds. So a lot of these abilities have just been kind of toned down quite a bit. Packs of prowling chimeras and maps now contain less of the prowling spawn alongside some zombies, so this good. Prowling chimeras are a pain in the ass. You'll just have to deal with less of them. Lowered the baseline monster density of breach encounters. I don't understand why they did that. I kind of wish they would have just buffed other in-game mechanics instead of nerfing this, but hopefully it's just a little bit more manageable. Fixing the inconsistency in the different types of packs that could spawn during breach encounters. You should now see more different types of monsters appearing in an area-to-area basis. More variety monsters, that's good. And this is just more changes. Improve the hitbox and number of abilities used by Blackjaw. That's good. So this is just overall nerfs to monster damage. It's all just good. In game should just be more manageable. Trial the second mode. This is all changes to honor. So now honor deals, you get deal less damage to honor the closer you are to the enemy, up to 35% less, and when in close range. So that should just be easier for a melee. You take less honor damage when in close range. Fix the bug where damage over time was dealing 3 times as much damage to honor as intended in the trial of second was. So dots were doing way too much damage to honor. That's been changed. It's been fixed. So it should just be a little bit easier. Serpent Clan burrow and ambush attacks have now been improved. Visual telegraphing and cannot be used from as far as away. Those guys were a pain in the ass, so that should just help with them a little bit. Volcanoes created by Rattle Cage's Fisher Slam now lasts half the duration, so that's good. He was a pain in the ass with all the big volcanoes. Added keyword hover to the honor mechanic in the trial of Sekimos. Skill balance. There is a lot of skill balance. I'm not going to go over all this. Kind of just go over it. Rolling slams, second slam deals 50% more damage to stunned enemies. That's a buff. Eye shot shards secondary now gains additional projectiles as it levels up, so that's a buff. Eye shot's buffed. Eye shot shards now target within 90-degree cone. Eye shot shards now travel further base. So buff. Looks like Ice Shot got a lot of buffs, and projectiles are now smaller, or the same size as other. So yeah, Ice Shot got a lot of buffs. Should just feel better. Electrocuting arrow base duration to 25 seconds from 12. Doubling quality bonus. Also, barrage now has 25% less damage on barrage attacks at level 1. A little bit of a nerf to barrage, I guess. Oh wait, but barrage has no +2 repeats base from +1. So maybe that evens out on barrage. Shock chain's arrow shockwaves now deal 100% more damage. That's a buff to shock chain. Sniper's mark cooldown reduced from 6 seconds to 2 seconds at all levels. That's a buff. Combat Frenzy can now gain a frenzy charge no more than once every 3 seconds from 7 seconds at level 1. That's a buff. I tried Combat Frenzy and it seemed terrible, so hopefully that makes it feel better. Fine Arrow's damage over time has been adjusted. It is now slightly higher at lower levels and substantially lower at higher levels. The intention is the ability was that you poison it to spread poisons as opposed to the vine itself dealing immense amounts of damage. Okay. Tornado Shot was buffed. I don't think either one of these skills were intended to be damage dealing skills. They're supposed to propagate your other damage, so those have been changed. Magnetic Salvo can only use your stuck lightning arrows as opposed to those created by your party members. That must have been a problem with people using other people's arrows or something. Must have been an issue. Um, this is a nerf to witch skills. It looks like damage growth per level of Unearth, Bone Storm, Bone Cage, and Bone Blast and Power Siphon result in 50% more damage at gem level 25. So, and then damage buffs to Essence Drain, Contagion, Profane Ritual, and Chaos Bolt. 33% more damage at level 25. Bone Cage critical strike chance increased from 15, so it's up 2%. Skeleton Arsonist Spirit costs is on to match other mages, so you just get less Skeleton Arsonist. Bone Offering Explosion now a 15% chance to critical strike, so that's a 2% buff on that. Resonating Shield, Shield Charge, and Shield Wall now 6 to 8 added field damage for 15 armor on your shield at all levels. I don't know what it was before. That's probably a buff. Resonating Shield Radius, so that's a buff to Resonating Shield. Buff the shield wall explosions by 2 meters. Shield wall can now create an additional wall, so that's a buff. Siege Cascade now has an attack time of 75% from 55%. I don't know if that's better or worse. Siege Cascade now searches. Siege Cascade has 50% more damage against immobilized enemies. Yeah. Stormblast Bolts now has a maximum of 30 active bolts from 9. Goddamn. Stormblast Bolts now has 5 bolts in the clip from 3. Stormblast Bolts now has 30%. So those are all buffs to Stormblast Bolts. Plasma Blast now has 47% more damage with an initial hit. 25% less damage with an explosion, causing it to rely less on colliding with walls to deal enough damage. So that's hopefully a buff to Plasma Blast. Artillery Ballista has a little bit more explosion radius. Artillery Ballista damage increased, so that's a buff to Artillery Ballista. Gathering Storm's Perfect Dash now deals 53% more damage. Wave of Frost now has 275% more freeze buildup at all levels. That's like a little bit more than 100% more freeze buildup. Staggering Palm duration buff. Staggering Palm's projectile now deal 20% more damage at all levels. That's a buff to that. Concoction skills from Pathfinder Ascendancy class now consume 3 charges from Mana Flask. Their damage is increased and deals approximately 66% more damage when the skill is level 20. In addition, the base added damage is increased by at least 50% for all concoction skills, with poison and bleeding concoction receiving greater damage buffs. Fulminating concoction now has critical strike chance to 8% from 6%. Shattering concoction now has critical strike chance from 11% from 7%. Explosion concoction now has 100% more chance to ignite enemies and 100% more magnitude of ignites inflicted. Fulminating concoction now has 100% chance to inflict shock, and shattering concoction 100% more freeze buildup. It's a lot of buffs to the concoction skills. I don't know if those will be good. I guess we'll have to wait and see. I was playing a Pathfinder, and when I was looking at those, I was like, fuck no, not playing that. Hunter's Talisman passive, skill notable not against +1 charm slot. I don't really care about that shit, but yeah, more charm slots. Add new lightning damage and electrocute cluster to the passage tree in between the ranger and monk. That's just more nodes. That's good. Heavy Frost, notable passive skill, now causes hits to only ignore enemy resistance of frozen enemies if their resistance values were positive. So a little change to that. Supercharged Slam now builds up stages slower, but gains 40% more damage per stage now from 20%. So yeah, just buffs. Electrocute is harder to build up, but the damage penalty has been removed from the support gym, so that's just good. Should just be okay. It is now more difficult to chain freeze enemies, reduce the amount of freeze buildup applied after a freeze has been applied. Should be just harder to explode whole enemies, screens of enemies with freeze, but it'll still be probably doable. They'll figure out a way. Added Tremor support gym. God damn. Okay, I'm not going through all this. They've added a bunch of supports. They've changed a bunch of supports. This is, yeah. Big thing is they added Tremor support, added the bidding support gym. So, and then a lot of the lesser used supports got buffs. So that's all good. Hopefully it'll just make support diversity a little bit better. You'll want to use stuff more. Item balance, anything crazy. The unique item and adorn now applies to time loss jewels. The time loss jewel modifier 3 trillion. And then a lot of bug fixes. I'm definitely not going over that. They fixed a lot of shit. Hopefully your game will crash less. Should be more stable. Overall, good changes. They're coming out with this stuff pretty quick. Game should just be more enjoyable, a little bit less tedious. Hopefully more options for support gyms. In-game should be a little bit more balanced. Some skills were buffed. Maybe some new things to try out. Overall, good patch. Like I said, it just went live yesterday on the 17th. Today is December 18th. Getting closer to Christmas. I hope everybody has a happy holidays. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.